That son of a bitch. Well, I know there's no reason to ask you if you want to talk. You love nothing more than telling your tale, don't you? Well, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and turn over the recorder to you. Go ahead and tell them your story. I'll wait.
Oh, come on, Dr. Voodoo. Acting like I don't have anything better to do.
So, growing up, I grew up in a little town here in Kentucky called Bardstown. Some people might have heard of it. Down there in old Bardstown, I always grew up with a fascination to cowboys. You know, right there in that infamous room at the Talbot Tavern where Jesse James shot the walls and put holes in the Indians that were painted on there. I'll never forget my father was renovating that room because at the time they actually used it as a room that you could stay in. And they pulled down the wallpaper and they were like, "Come here, son." He showed me, he told me the tale of Jesse James, and in that moment I was hooked. I wanted to be the baddest gunslinger in Bardstown, Kentucky's history. The only problem was, by the time I grew up, and I was at the ripe old age of 25 years old, we were in a moment of history called the Great Depression. And Prohibition. Can't give us money, can't give us nothing to drink. Isn't that just the way that it goes? Well, me and mine, we weren't going to go laying down. So I started bootlegging good old Kentucky moonshine. And I still, at the age of 27, wanted to be a cowboy. I would walk around and I would try to introduce myself as the Bardstown Kid, but nobody took me right. Everybody looked at me like I was goofy. And I'd get all kinds of weird looks and stuff, and I'd keep my shiny 6-shooter on my hip. Thought I was the toughest thing since nails. And I'd practice with that 6-shooter. I'd go out in the backyard and I'd fire it over and over again and make sure that I was oh so sharp, oh so clean with it. Because I knew if anybody wanted to step up to the Bardstown Kid, you better bring more than just a name. I wanted to live the part. I acted the part. Anybody looked at me crossed, it was either I'd take him to a duel or he would end with a fist fight. Nobody came across me wrong. Everybody, in a way, respected me out of fear. One night I was at the top of the tavern. And I was sitting there and I was talking about how fast I can draw my gun. How I'm the baddest 6-shooter here in town. And on the end of the bar was a man, a black hat, a black long coat. And he smiled and took down a shot of whiskey and said, "Tired of hearing you talk, boy. Bet I can outshoot you, and I bet you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that thing." Well, I couldn't take such an insult. So I slammed down my shot of whiskey. I looked at him and I said, "Sir, I'd like to meet you out front then." And as he finished out the last little bits of sips at the bottom of his glass, he said, "Well, I guess I must oblige then." I looked for it, but the man had no emotion about it. He seemed as cold as steel. I never even really got to see his face. He always kept the hat pulled down over his eyes. And as he headed out the door before me, his long coat dragged so far behind it, it seemed almost as if he was floating. And as the stranger walked down the old road right there, he almost disappeared until he looked up when I stood in front of him, and all I could see his bright red eyes coming out from underneath of that hat and that long coat. Fear went through me. It was as cold as ice. I had a split second of, I don't know if I want to play anymore. I knew it was too late. So I stood there, trying to see him under the flickering light of the street lights. It was very hard to make out, but I could see his silhouette. And all I could think is, who's gonna pull first? Who's gonna pull first? Who's gonna pull first? And then I saw him flinch. And the man stood there like a statue. I couldn't have missed. How did I miss? The man hasn't even moved. And then I hear it. And I feel a gust of wind pierce by my head. As I stand there trembling, I realize he hit the hat on my head, right next to my ear. And the shot was deliberate, as I could hear him laughing on down the street as he turned and walked down the next side street, disappearing and never being seen again. That day haunted me, and I could tell that little town of Bardstown just would never forget it too. Every time I'd walk by somebody, they just kind of give me that look like, "Hey, cowboy, you missed your chance." Oh, it infuriated me. Oh, it infuriated me. I'd have rather gone down in a blaze of glory than humiliated like this. I hate him for it. God, I hated him for it. Weeks went by. I could tell the respect and fear in this town was just fading away from me. I wanted that power. I wanted it. Then one day, walking down Bardstown, there sits another man I'd never seen before in a black suit. This time he's kicked back on the porch outside the Talbot Tavern. And I was walking by and was trying to recognize to see if it was the same guy from that night. And it wasn't. But the gentleman looked up at me and smiled and said, "How's it going, Tex?" Kind of chuckled and pulled the hat back over his eyes. And I asked him if he was deliberately trying to insult me or if it was just an honest mistake. And he looked up at me and said, "Well, sir, I guess you can take it however you want." And I asked him if he thought he was more of a man than me. He said he's been around the block a time or two. He showed no fear, but yet he, just like the other gentleman, showed no emotion. And it pissed me off. And I got more and more heated. I told him, "Better respect your tongue, 'cause I'm the fastest gun here in town." And then he said,
"That's not what I heard, Bardstown kid. I thought you got your match a couple of weeks ago."
"Well, I'm a lot faster of a draw than you, buddy. And I'm a whole lot closer, too. So what do you think of that?"
Do I look scared? Boy.
So I drawled. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Man had a little 38 tucked in his pocket the whole time. Pointed right at me. The moment he saw me twitch, I heard it. I laid out there in front of that bar, that old Talbot Tavern, staring up at that Bardstown sky, the same one that I grew up under, imagining that one day I'd grow up to be a true cowboy, a gunslinger. And it was all taken away from me by some calm man in a black suit, where if I just kept my mouth shut, God only knows what kind of trouble I could have gotten into. And that's what you get, you little hot-headed son of a bitch. The Bardstown Kid. What a stupid-ass name on top of that. Well, that's what you get. Sometimes you think that you're the alpha whenever you ain't nothing but a fool. Yeah. Sometimes it's better to just keep a calm temper about things. Let stuff roll off your chest before you get too in it. Well, here he comes. I guess I'm lucky that I had already started this hole before the conversation.
Doc, glad to see you're at least doing something out here. You know you got a couple more feet left before that hole's done, right?
You don't say. Like I've never done this before. Jesus.
Hey, I don't need that lid, boy. You better get back at it. Turn that goddamn tape recorder off.
Yeah. That ain't going nowhere. Move on. I'm gonna get back at it, ladies and gentlemen. Like always. Till next time. If there is a next time.